Welcome back to Media Hub. Today's guest is not only a highly respected director in the world of live golf broadcasting, he's also a dear friend of mine. I've known Mike Lacey since 1993, back when we were both working at Nickelodeon Studios. He was behind the camera, and I was his camera assistant. Since then, Mike carved out an incredible path from camera operator to technical director to now directing live PGA tournaments for PGA Productions. He's seen this industry change in major ways and has kept growing, evolving, and leveling up every step of the way. In this episode, we talk about that journey. If you're someone trying to climb the ranks in live TV, or just curious about what it's like calling the shots in real time, then this one's for you. So my main friend, Mike Lacey, I haven't seen in a while, but we go way back, and I so appreciate you taking the time out to do this show for us. Man, when I was going through these questions, we're gonna go down memory lane a little bit. But I remember last season when you actually responded to one of the posts on LinkedIn, and you were congratulating me on the show and everything. I was like, dude, I gotta have you on. And then when you said you would be on, I was like, great, season 2, you're definitely on, and here you are.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to do this.
Dude, you don't know. Talk about honor. Trust me, it's my honor. But so we have this segment that we start off the show with now. It's called Quick Takes, and on Quick Takes, we're basically going to go over some quick questions so the viewers get to know who you are at a more personable level. All right, so we're going to start this
Sure.
off. You ready to go, Mike?
Of course. Looking forward to it.
Quick takes.
All right, here we go. So, question number 1. You and I go way back to 1993 when we were at Nickelodeon. What's one thing about me as a camera assistant that still makes you laugh?
One thing about you is like, oh my gosh, that's a great question. That still makes me laugh. We had a lot of laughs all over the place. I don't know. I don't know if I can pick out one. That's a great question. And I wish I had a better answer, but we definitely had a lot of laughs.
We did.
I don't know.
We
On
would
the
de-
set of Gullah Gullah Island, was a lot of fun. Yeah, we just laughed all the time, which was great. So many.
Dude, we would definitely play pranks on each other and always make each other laugh. You have to do something, right? You have to do something to keep the day going.
Exactly, exactly. Long days, but very fun days, and part of the pranks was part of
That's right. All right, here we go. Uh, what did a good day look like for you back when you were grinding in the production field?
a a good day was getting on the phone, calling people, talking to people, and getting a gig.
Getting the gig, got that right. Always landing the gigs, always good.
hmm
Ne- Next, what moment made you fall in love with being behind the camera or in the control room?
So I went to school to become a psychologist, and one of the courses I took was a radio production class because it was an elective. It
Yeah.
was like a Tuesday, Thursday class, however that works. So say it was Tuesday. The professor, his name is Mark Bauman, says, for all you people not in TV production, you don't need to come to class next week or on Thursday, say, because we're going to take everybody going to go into the studios in the bottom of the lecture center. I think to myself, well, I don't have anything going on Thursday. I'll go. So I went and I'm like, oh my God, they had these 2 studios in the bottom of the lecture center. Who know? This is pretty cool. I'll take that TV 101 production class. And that was the hook. I mean, and then I'm like, this has to be my career. I absolutely love doing this. I'm not that great of a student, and I think this is something that intrigues me. I love watching TV. I love watching sports. Yeah, so I was like, you know what, this could be a really good career for me.
Definitely a big change from psychology. Even though that psychology, I'm sure, comes into play a lot dealing with people and everybody, all the different personalities, especially when you're directing and talent and things like that. I'm sure it comes into play.
It does. It's kind of crazy. No
Yeah.
pun intended. Actually, pun intended.
I know.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. You could write a
It
book on
comes.
puns.
I could. I'm the pun master. Um, No, it definitely comes in handy for background to see how people act in certain situations and how they interact in certain situations. Everybody's different, and that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely helps with the background interaction.
Okay. Was there a point in your career where you felt totally in over your head, but still came out stronger for it?
Yeah, it's funny. So when I was working for the PGA Tour, I TD'd a lot, and one of the first things they had me direct were in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Waste Management Open, and they had struck a deal with GoPro, and it was we are going to do a live show on the Wednesday of the practice round, and they asked me to direct it. And I said, "Yeah, I could direct it," but we had all these GoPros, and they wanted to show off the GoPros and how everything looked really well, and the different angles they could get, and all this stuff. So we had 70 GoPros, but I had a router, and I could only use three at a time. And so I'm thinking, oh man, I hope, because nobody knew what to expect, right? And I'm thinking, I hope I can do this. So I'm getting kind of nervous. And about 10 minutes before we go on the air, I say to the producer, I said, "Hey, Chris, let's use the restroom a little bit." He's like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool." I never let my inward nervousness show outwardly. Just
Yeah.
continue to do your job, right? Part of
Right.
the whole freelance gig. Never freak out. Never freak out. So I'm freaking out internally. So I go into the porta potty, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like really nervous. I don't know if I can do this. And then I said, you know what? Worst case scenario, if they don't like it, I'm still going to TD. I'll still have a job. So let's go do this. Show turned out great, but I
Yeah.
definitely was. That was the most nervous I had ever been. I hardly ever get nervous. Yeah, but it was. Yeah, it was crazy. It was an interesting time, and I'm glad I went through that. We go through a lot of things as freelancers, and definitely came out stronger and more positive for sure.
Yeah. Definitely the key point there was you're definitely struggling internally, but you're never letting anybody know on the outside what's how you're really feeling about it.
Yeah, a long time ago, when I was doing convention work, Pete Court from Orlando had said we were talking about something, and he said, "Let me tell you something. Said, never freak out, but never freak out, but never freak out, especially in front of a client." And I'm like, "Ooh, that's good." I wasn't freaking out; somebody else was freaking out. He was
Yeah.
whatever was happening, but it's like never freak out, especially never freak out in front of a client. So internalize it all. Outwardly, you're fine. Internally, you're like, "Oh my gosh, what is going to happen?"
What's a small unexpected habit or ritual you do before doing a live show?
Habit or ritual before our live show: always tell everybody, have a great show. I thank everybody in advance for having a great show, and I thank everybody in advance for getting us to the point to have a great show. Um, yeah, some people say, team on three, blah 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 blah. I just thank everybody, the whole crew, and if I have time beforehand, depending on if we're doing a lot of pre-production or not, I will thank everybody individually, or at least the departments individually. But definitely thank everybody before we go on the air, and then again, of course, after we go off the air, I thank everybody, uh, most of the time individually, for having a great show.
That's cool, Mike. I like that. I like that. You're already calming everybody down right before the big show. I like it. All right. If your career were a highlight or a highlight reel, let's say, what would be the opening shot?
The opening shot of my highlight career would be the picture that I have hanging on my wall up here of me and Richard Nixon.
Oh, nice. Okay. I like that. When did you meet
Yeah.
him?
So met him. It was probably 80. I'm looking at him right now. Um, Hold on. Okay. It was it was in 1983. It was
That's
19.
cool.
He signed the picture and everything. We also got everybody on the crew got a signed memoir of his. So 1983, Roger Ailes, who later became the president of Fox News, was a client of National Video Center where I worked in New York City.
Yeah.
National did all of the productions for Roger. Frank Gannon of Gannon Productions from England wanted to do a bunch of interviews with Richard Nixon for a show in England. So, of course, they went through Roger. Roger used National Video Center, and we had Richard Nixon on and off for about a week and a half. He would come in and we did a ton of interviews. I worked on that at that time. I was a studio supervisor
Yeah.
for the show, so just make sure everything runs smoothly. But yeah, having a picture of him, shaking his hand, signing the memoirs, it was a pretty neat experience.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's very, very cool. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
A 20-year-old might, it's funny you say that because I say people to all the time. Never in my life when I was younger, 20. So I was starting a TV production program in at SUNY New Paltz, but
Yeah.
never in my life, if you would have told me you were going to travel all over the country, you're going to work on all these projects, you're going to start in entertainment, you're going to work in studios, you're going to learn so much. When I was a kid, I wanted to play in the NBA. Of course, I couldn't because I suck at basketball. But as part of the career, if somebody would told me back then that you'd be involved in all the things that you love
Yeah.
growing up, like watching TV, I love watching TV. It was fantastic. Um, I've been a part of NBA. I've been a part of NFL, hockey, baseball. College sports, all the college sports. I love that. Professional wrestling, PGA Tour golf. It's like if somebody would have told me where I'd end up today when I was 20, I'd be like, "Yeah, you're crazy. You
Yeah.
are absolutely, you're absolutely bananas. You need to go back to the psychology class and listen some more or something." I don't know. Yeah, it was. It's absolutely, it's absolutely ridiculous how things work out and where I ended up. And I'm
You
so
know,
grateful and thankful
yeah.
that it has.
Well, saying that now, and you, when we were on the phone, we were going over these questions on stuff. When you told me where you started out, tell everybody where you started and how you got where you are now in just a brief time. Just go through that real quick, 'cause I think people will find that very interesting.
So I graduated from college in 1981. Got married to Valerie, the love of my life, soon after. We're living in New Paltz, New York, and I decided I got to get a job when I graduate from college. So I started working at Dunkin' Donuts. I swear to God, overnight making the donuts. After a couple of days, I'm like, you know what? I'm terrible at this. I better quit before they fire me, and I got to really get a real job. So went drove down to New York, to New Jersey, stayed with my grandparents, went to New York City for a week. They used to have this thing called the Yellow Book. No internet back then, of course. Picked out all these production companies. I had 40 production companies in a week that I was there. I had 3 interviews, 2 job offers, and I took the job at National Video Center in New York because they had just moved from a small place facility on 57th Street, and I thought I saw more potential for growth. But the other job offer was for the same position, which was a messenger running packages around New York City. And the deal was with National, you're going to work in the mailroom, you're going to run packages around New York, either as a foot messenger or if
Mm-hmm.
we have a large shipment, you'll take the van and you'll drive wherever. It could be New Jersey, it could be Long Island, it could be somewhere else in New York. And they said, but the thing is, when you are not doing that, you have run of the place. There was a non-union house. I learned everything from 2-inch machines, how to set them up with an Allen wrench. I learned everything technically. It was unbelievable. And I would go from post production up on the third floor down to the studios down on the ground floor. And I was like, you know what? Production is definitely what I want to do. And eventually, after about 6 months, became studio manager. And then I worked my way up from there to learning everything. And the thing is, like, if when you get into business, if somebody asks you to do something, just do it. It's like
Yeah.
they're like, we really need to paint the hallways on the third floor. Do you want to come in on the weekends and do it? I'm like, yep. Uh, we need to do, we're getting new cameras. We're going to need to run these cables out. You want to do it? Yes. We need, just learn as much as you possibly can and soak everything in, which I did.
Yeah.
And then after about a year and a half, 2 years, I worked my way up to camera.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we were doing a show for the USA Network called Radio 1990. It's, back in the 80s. And we're going to do, it was usually, we had a bunch of rock and roll interviews. Rock and rollers would come in. Lisa Robinson was the host, and it was a bunch of single camera interviews. So finally, they decided we're going to do two camera interviews. So like, oh, cool, they're going to do two camera interviews. That's cool. The director for the show was going to run one of the cameras. The lighting director and camera operator was going to run the second camera, and the producer of the show was going to switch between the cameras.
Yeah.
So he was starting to freak out just before we go on the air. It was taped. I mean, it was super easy. It was just literally cutting between two cameras. Everything's ISO'd. And he says, I don't think I can do this. And my friend Nick Vericali, who was a great mentor to me and still is a dear, dear, dear friend of mine, um, I said, oh, I can do it. And I said, Nick, you can TD? He's like, yeah, just punch in two buttons. I was like, well, who's going to do the other camera? And he said, Mike can do it. And I just said, Mike, you can do the camera? I'm like, I can do the camera. So I go in and I'm doing the camera, and the production manager, she comes into the control room and she's like, oh, Nick, you're cheating? I didn't know you cheated. She said, yeah, I can switch between cameras. She says, well, who's doing the other camera? He's like, Mike. He's like, Mike's doing a camera? So I saw her afterwards. She's like, Mike, I didn't know you did camera. So to back up the story a little bit, because I was studio supervisor, I had keys to everything. And I would go in on Saturdays and set everything up. I'd turn on the lights. I'd turn everything on. I'd practice camera work. I'd do everything. I love TV, and I wanted to grow. So I took it upon myself, and I said, "Yeah, I do camera." And from that point on, I was a cameraman at National Video Center, and then they let me do lighting, and I moved up from there. And yeah, I mean, if you just pay attention,
Mm-hmm.
do what you're asked, be on time,
Yeah.
do what you say you're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
you can go far. If you don't do any of those things, I don't know. Good luck to you.
The way you wrap that out is perfect because what I was going to say, to answer that, what you just said was, the main important thing is get your foot in the door, right? You took
Yes,
a job that wasn't really, it was in TV, but you were working in the mailroom and you worked your way up, and then you just said yes to everything that needed to be done to learn, and then eventually you got your break, right? And then everybody realized what
yes,
you could do. Because,
yes.
I mean, as you know, Mike, even though for you, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because you were able to advance your career many, many times where a lot of people get stuck, right? But you're telling people exactly the steps to take. And we're going to get deeper into that. But for now, who taught you the most in those early years and what stuck with you from that time to time?
So in the early years when I worked at National Video Center, it was the perfect learning opportunity. Nick Vericali, who's, like I said, is a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's cameraman, lighting director. You can IMDb him, multiple Emmy award-winning lighting director for soap operas. I learned so much from him. Another gentleman, his name was Herb Olant. He was the engineer in charge at National Video Center, and both of them put a lot of trust in me in helping them not figure things out, but helping them along, running the cables, doing
Mm-hmm.
what's needed to be done, all the things that you should learn how to do before you go to the next step. Because my feeling is that if you want to be a producer or a director or a camera operator and you're not there yet, or you want to be an A1, you need to learn and understand how things work so you can get to that point.
Yeah.
So if you're a producer or a director and you say you want something, like, yeah, we can do that, but, or can we do this? Well, maybe you should know that you can or can't. Um, or maybe you don't. There's definitely questions and times when you ask because you're not sure, which is great. But
Yeah.
having the knowledge of the background of how everything works in a production is paramount to you moving on to the next step and doing a, a great job at
Mm,
what you're doing. And that's just, you know, it's guiding you the whole way. It's like a long winding road.
yep.
You know, some people want to take a shortcut. They want to cut around the corner. Well, good luck to you. You know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that works.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. But my feeling is the more you know, the better you can excel at whatever job you want to do.
Right. Okay. Good stuff there, Mike. You've worked on some high pressure live events. Ever have a don't mess this up moment that you'll never forget?
Well, don't mess it up for the PGA Tour. That first one in uh, in Phoenix, Arizona, that was for sure. Another one was I was one of two TDs hired to TD the 2012 Republican National Convention in uh, in Tampa for Fox News,
Yep.
and the setup was days long, just days long, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is this is a big show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of eyes are on this show, not just the people watching at home, but the people behind the scenes. And you know, Roger Ailes, who I knew from National Video Center. I don't know if he would have remembered me at the time, but I kind of think we were whatever. We kind of bonded over cheeseburgers once, but that's
Uh-huh.
another story.
Right.
But yeah, so that was a big one, and it was like, yeah, don't screw this up. Yeah,
Uh-huh. I can
and
see
I
that.
didn't.
The
You know,
pressure was on.
yes.
All right. If you could direct any live event in the world, so it could be sports, music, anything, what would it be and why?
So that's an interesting question, and I saw that. And I've said for years that I don't need to work on anything like to complete my career. I'm happy with everything. I'm ecstatic with everything. I'm over the top with how everything's turned out, going from the 20-year-old guy who didn't know that he was going to have all these experiences. However, um, if I could direct one event, it's hard to choose. I would like to direct maybe a WrestleMania.
I so
That would
knew
be
you were
fun.
going to say that. I so knew you were going to say that, man. Come on now.
uh, or
You
or
and the
maybe
Hulkster.
that's right, brother. Let me tell you something, Dondi. Um, or maybe an NBA game because I wanted to be an NBA player when I was growing up, but you know, obviously, like I said, I wasn't good, so
But you haven't done an NBA game yet, Mike? Just TD'd them?
I've never directed it. Just TD'd them, yes.
Oh wow, okay. I thought you did at least a college. Well, you probably did a college one.
No, no.
Oh
You
wow,
know,
okay.
it's funny how things work. Some people are very fortunate to work in a big myriad of things throughout their career, and they go from
Yeah,
one thing to the next.
yeah,
My main thing that I've directed is golf for the PGA Tour.
yep,
However, I've done a ton of other things. I've done a little bit of college basketball. I've done a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some convention work. Wish I had my resume to think to read it, but yeah. So I've done quite a few things, but never an NBA game, and that would be nice to do. But like I said, I am over the top happy with how my career
yeah.
has gone from being a messenger in New York City to directing, and television has been very, very good to me.
Right. It really has. It really has. All right. What skills helped you level up from operator to TD to eventually directing?
So the skills that help you level up are paying attention,
Hmm.
listening, not just hearing, but listening and understanding, asking questions, and doing the absolute best job you can. So when I started doing camera work, my focus was, and I hope it's the focus of everybody who's doing camera work at this point, no matter where you are, what you're working on, you are the only person in the whole wide world shooting what you're shooting.
Okay.
Sure, there might be other camera operators there. You
Hmm.
might be doing a feed for an NBA game, and there might be three different feeds there. But your shot is your shot, and you need to make your shot look the best it possibly can because you are responsible for that. Not only you're a camera operator, sometimes you're producing in your head, you're directing in your head, you're checking your returns, you're listening, you're watching, you got your left eye open if you're doing handheld, you're looking over the viewfinder if you're a hard cameraman, just paying attention, being in the moment. And the main thing in sports is don't be a fan. Can't tell you how many times I work with people and they're a fan and they get caught up in the action and it's like, yeah, you can be happy for something, you can do whatever,
Right.
but do your job. Your job is not to make the people in the truck happy. Your job is to make the people at home happy because you want more people to be watching at home. That's your job. So
Right.
do the very best you can every single time you step into your position, whether it's a utility, whether it's an A2, whether it's a messenger running packages around New York, whether it's a director or a producer or a production coordinator or a crewer or anybody. Do the very best job you can because everything really rides on everybody's individual shoulders, which makes everything look fantastic when everybody's on the same page.
Good. Good answer, Mike. All right. Was there ever a moment where you almost left the business, or has it always been felt like this was your lane?
Interesting. Another interesting question. There was two times when I thought about leaving the business. It was the beginning of IT, so I'm like, oh, so I was starting to travel a lot, and I didn't like traveling a lot. Um, so I went to DeVry in Orlando and looked into maybe getting into IT, um, but the price was outrageously expensive, and it would have taken forever, and then I would have had to turn gigs down. I was like, I don't know any other way to pay the bills at this point, so yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that. I thought that'd been pretty cool. Who knows where that would have led, right? And another time I was like, oh, um, Reagan fired all the air traffic controllers. Now they're starting to hire them. Let me look into that. But I was too old. The cutoff is 40, so I was like 42 or whatever at the time. So yeah, there was two times where it's like maybe I can do something else.
Yeah.
Uh, in the scheme of things, in the long run, I'm so glad that I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely worked out for you. So it's good that you went through. I mean, we went through just in the 30 some years that we've known each other. There's a lot that has happened in the industry, in the world, economy that has. I mean, we've seen a lot of people come and go through those times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's good that you
Remember
stuck it through.
when Yeah, I remember we used to do all the work at Nickelodeon. I was doing a lot of work at Disney at the time. And I was thinking, I am going to be a cameraman, a studio cameraman for the rest of my life. And I love it. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And maybe do throw a couple conventions in here and there. And we used to do a bunch of concerts, as you know, and
Yeah.
people coming from out of town and do shows like the Rosie O'Donnell show that we
Mm-hmm.
worked on. I was thinking, wow, this is turning into a great career working in the studios. And then, just as fast as Hollywood East appeared in Orlando, Hollywood
What
East
a
turned
wow.
into Hollywood Least, and that all
Oh,
went
I love
away.
that.
And I was like,
Right.
good. And I was like, oh, this camera work stuff is kind of going away as well. What else am I going to do? So that's kind of how I transitioned into technical direction.
Well, is that what made you go inside the truck to TD?
Yeah, so we were working on the last show at Disney, Dooley and Pals. You were there,
Yep. I was
and
there.
yep, and Paul Spitzer, the TD, and Ed Schumann, who you know really well. We were all asked by Sunshine Network to go up to Tallahassee, Florida, to do an FSU women's softball game. So we all flew up there, and I'd like to say I pay attention, and I really try to pay attention. Always work the returns, especially on a sporting event, compliment all the
Mm-hmm.
other shots, all the stuff. And I'm watching the show, and this is the rudimentary levels of switchers at the time, and it was just cuts and dissolves and like box wipes to get to the replays. And I'm thinking, as the show's going on, I'm thinking, Sunshine Network hires all these people from all over the country. Literally, they fly them in to TV these things. I said to myself, I think I can figure this out. So we go back to Dooley and Pals, and I tell Paul, I'm like, Paul, this is what I'm thinking. And I told him the whole thing, how they bring people in. And I said, I
Hmm.
want to make myself more valuable because I think if you make yourself more valuable, you have better chances to work. And that's what our job in TV is all about, is working more or
Right.
making more and working less, which
Correct.
is
Hmm.
which is the ultimate goal. Um, so I told him, and I said, "This is what I'm thinking to do. Can you show me on the switcher? We have the same switcher in the control room at Disney. Can you show me how you would set up for a basketball game, football game, whatever? It's all basically the same." He said, "Yeah, I can show." And I said, "I will never take your word. I
Hmm.
appreciate you doing this, and if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to. I totally get it." He's like, "No, no, no, I'll show you. It's fine. You know, Paul, beautiful man."
Hmm.
Um, So I'm doing that. Then I told the Sunshine Network crewing department what I was doing, and I'd bring my lunch every day, and I'd go in there, and you couldn't mess the switcher up because that was another posted show. You just do all the cuts. So I go in, and every day I'm screwing around on the switcher, and I'm cutting a basketball game. You know, I'm cutting a softball game, whatever. I'm pressing all the buttons. I'm doing everything I need to do. And about 3 months later, after Dooley was over, I got a call from Sunshine Network. We need you to TD a softball game tomorrow in Gainesville, Florida. I was like, I've never done it. Would not be good. Does Jerry know? Jerry was the producer director.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jerry knows. I'm like, let me call you back. So I hang up. I called Jerry. And I was like, hey Jerry, Mike Lacey. He's like, hey, you're gonna come up tomorrow? We're gonna have a bunch of fun. I said, this is not going to be a great technically directed game. There will be mistakes made. Oh, we'll have a bunch of fun. Don't worry about it. Like, okay. So I call Sunshine Network back up. I was like, yeah, I can do this, but it's not going to be a clean game. Because that was like the most nervous I've ever been uh, at the beginning. Because, like, oh my God, how do you set all this stuff up? It was
Yeah.
very, looking back on that, it was so basic. Probably it should have taken me 2 hours to set it. I was working through lunch and all that stuff. And back then, I would see mistakes happen 2, 3 times a game sometimes. NBA, college basketball, whatever, just because there was a lot going on and the switches were, although more complicated, but less complicated. I don't know. You'd have to sit behind a switcher, an old one and a new one, and you would see what I'm. So I'm gonna say I had like 7 or 8 mistakes, probably 2 or 3 right out of the gate. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I am done. I will never do this again. This is absolutely horrendous. So
Right.
get done with the game, driving home. Like, oh, suck. That was terrible. Uh, maybe I'm wrong. And so I call Sunshine Network and I call the main crewer. And I'm like, hey, sorry about what happened. It's like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I made all this. Oh, I talked to Jerry already. He said it was great. I'm like, said, well, it was far from great. But no, 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 no. Yeah, we'll have more stuff for him. I'm like, wow, they must be maybe saving that much money on people flying in. It's worth having a couple more mistakes. I don't know, but then I just took the ball and ran from there. And then every time I would show up as a camera operator at an event, I would basically say the same thing to all the TDs. I'd say, I'm starting to TD. Paul Spitzer has been kind enough to show me some things.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, if I could just watch, or if I could, would you mind showing me? Would you would you help me along? And if not, and I would tell everybody, if you don't want to help me, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's totally up to you.
Yeah.
And every one of them said, yeah, Mike, we'll help you. I'm like, really? Yeah. So I learned from a bunch of different TDs of how to do things, which was a
Mhm.
blessing because TDs have to figure it out by themselves.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I kind of took the bull by the horns and ran with it. And yeah, next thing I know, I'm doing, because I still did camera work. I'm doing more TV than camera work.
Yep.
So I still did both for a while. But yeah, I mean, by the grace of God and the help of others who are kind beyond reason. Um, I was very fortunate and to here today talking to you, which is
You
fantastic.
know, a couple of key points to take from there was that you had the guts to ask, and back then, and we were very low on TDs in our area. I mean, there was maybe two or three that you saw all the time, and then you
Exactly.
approached somebody that you knew very well, who was great, who felt comfortable enough in his own job to teach you everything, which was always a good thing. So people should never be afraid to ask someone to help them and to teach them things so they can advance in their career. That's what I get out of that whole thing you just said. Don't be afraid to do it and do it. And if you mess up, don't think that that's the last time. You're just learning.
Exactly. There's a saying, and it's very true. The answer is always no until you ask.
Very well said.
So just
Very
ask.
well said.
Just ask.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's also the way that you ask.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody for help, would you help me? People want to help,
Yeah.
and then you just lay it all out on the line, and and you do what you say you're going to do. There's been situations before where Paul had helped me, and then all of a sudden I'm doing something for somebody that Paul can't do, and they're like, they want you the next time. And I said, you have to call Paul first. You have to call whoever first. It's not, I will,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back on my word. I mean, that's how you pay it back.
Yeah.
There's so many times where I've had instances in the past where, say, you work in a convention and a client really likes you, and then they call you, used to be calls when I was doing them, and they say, I can't do it, but I have so and so can do it for me. Okay, so and so do it, does it, and then the way a lot of it worked or worked back then and still works today, I'm not sure, is they would go by the list of the last person who they called or who worked on the show. Like, oh, they did great.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
if somebody recommended me and they liked me and I got a call, I'd be like, you have to call them first. Did you call so and so? They'd be like, no, we really like you. It was their gig. I was filling in for them. If you call them, and if they're not available, I'll do it. But I'm not in the business of taking anybody's job for anything. That's not the right way to do it. Um,
I'm so glad
I
you're
know I'm
saying this.
naive.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm naive in my thoughts because I don't
Yeah.
think a majority of the television business works that way. People just take whatever because like, oh my God, I'm so happy they called me.
Yep.
But yeah, I can't do I can't do that.
No, but that's a good. It's not only shows your morals, but also shows how it should work in the industry. I'm the same way. If someone gave us a job or called us a company that we're covering one of our other friends, we call it keeping in the family, the jobs, and they call us back, we're like, no, you got to call them, and that's the way it should be practiced. Some people do take the job without even thinking about, oh, because they just so excited that they got the call, but they forget where they got it from. So I'm glad you definitely said it because it's a major point that people should know. How has the live TV and sports broadcasting world changed from the 90s to now, according to you?
It has changed a tremendous amount. Everything's gone from analog to digital to high def to IP. Um, the transmission structure has changed. The monitoring has changed. A lot of the monitors now are multi-viewers. What I wouldn't give for a glass for a glass to look through
I know
and
what you
see what
mean.
something really looks like with a monitor that you can set up, right? Because like,
Right.
oh, it looks good there. Oh, it
Yeah.
doesn't look good there. Oh, it looks great there. Oh, like
Exactly.
what are we supposed to do? Like, oh, you have a waveform and a vector scope. We can put this online and see. No, we don't have that. Like, how do you do stuff without a waveform monitor or vector scope? We don't even know what this looks like. Oh, it looks good in video. Oh, it looks terrible in audio. It's like what? It's like what is going on? It
Yep.
drives me absolutely bananas. But that part is definitely not going to change. But yeah, what I wouldn't do for a piece of glass just to look at something that's really coming in and a setup monitor. But things have changed exponentially, as you can attest to with your VMix and your virtual reality backgrounds.
Yeah.
That's the wave of the future. The volume stages, which is unbelievable. I do a lot of work now at the PGA Tour. They just opened up PGA Tour Studios in Ponte Vedra, about 8 miles from my house here in Jacksonville Beach.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they have these virtual studios that are the main studio is just unbelievable. You can put anything you want in there, and then the AR that's involved with it, or the VR, the virtual reality, and the augmented reality. It's like mind blowing, and how
Yeah.
everything tracks with the cameras these days. Yeah, it is crazy. It's just crazy the amount of technology, how it's exploded, and it's just going to keep on going for a while.
Yeah, and I that's why we started going this way is because I believe it is the future. And are we a couple years behind because it came out a few years ago, but there's still a
Hmm.
lot more to grow in this virtual space, and it's going to keep going. Like so, like we're for example, like our set is all green, but you could easily do with the VU with LED screens, wraparound screens on the background. It's the same exact concept, but it
Right.
is the wave. It's the future. It's what's going to come because you could do so much in one space.
Yeah, it's a money saver too. You go out, you shoot the backgrounds, or you have the backgrounds. You don't have to go on location.
Yep.
Do everything in the comfort of a studio where it's not going to rain. It's not going to be too hot. Sun's not going to be going behind clouds. You have a controlled environment. Yeah, it's for the production value. It's amazing. It's
It's
definitely
I
the
didn't even
wave of
know
the future.
PGA
The
had
future.
one. I got to go over there. I actually got to call Ed and see if he can get me in there to go take a tour. I would love to see it over there.
Oh, it's spectacular, Don. Let me know when you want to come up, and we'll see what we can work
Oh,
out.
I'm gonna take you up on that for sure, for sure. All
That'd
right.
be great.
Here's my next one, Team Mike. What new tech has changed in your workflow the most, and what old school habits still hold true today?
The old school habits that still hold true today are the non-technical. Um, Pay attention, listen, watch, learn,
Mm-hmm.
communicate. I think that you cannot communicate enough. I don't think there's
Yeah.
such a thing as over communication.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand something, ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Well, maybe sometimes there is, uh, but but the old school part has really not changed. The technical advancements, especially in the golf realm, at the PGA Tour, is a modern marvel of wonder. Uh, there, they have a Hawkeye replay system. A lot of people use EVS
Mm-hmm.
for their replay system. They have a Hawkeye system, which is really amazing. Um, so in EVS, you have to route everything individually, or DDR, however you're going to do it. The Hawkeye system takes everything in all at once.
Oh wow.
So you're never going to miss it. Yeah, it's amazing. You're never going to miss anything. Every camera that is coming in is being recorded,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So, and then you can go and you can recut stuff. You can't even tell it's on tape, or they can cut stuff. You say, I don't want the cut back, and they hit the clear button, and then there's no cut back. Or say, don't cut. So if they could have cut it, and then there's a clear button, they could just hit the
No
clear
way.
and not cut anything. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and then we missed whatever. It was on the third hole of the Rory McIlroy group. He had a ruling. We're going to go back and take a look at it. It's all hooked up with the ShotLink interface computer. We can automatically go back to the third hole in the blink of an eye, literally, and every camera that was there will pop up, and you can go through every camera and take a look at it. So nothing is. It's
Wow.
it's amazing. And then again, all the augmented reality, the virtual reality, the volume stage at the tour. I mean that's all game changers, as we're just talking about. Um, it's interesting. Cameras are still cameras. The switchers are becoming more powerful. That's for sure. Video is still video, but there's a lot more knobs to turn and a lot more things to look at. Whether you're going to be in 1080p, 4K, so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth, HDR, um, different things that you want to look at. But technically, things have changed. The lighting has certainly changed. back in my day, it was all Fresnels and
Yeah.
some soft lights and a bunch of diffusion. And it's not that anymore. It's a bunch of panel lights hanging all over the place. Um, yeah, it's amazing, you know. Studio pedestals are still studio pedestals. Tripods are still tripods. But
Yeah.
getting that information being recorded and spit out is it's crazy. It's maybe I use crazy too much. It's pretty neat. It's
Let me ask you
yeah,
this.
glad to be.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Mike. So with all that you said with the new technology and everything, that seems like it'll help you be even a better director, right? Because you have all these other new tools that you can use, new technologies. It makes the show better, hopefully. I know the technical aspects could be a pain, but so what using those tools, how does it make you a great director?
I don't know if I'm a great director, but I think I'm above average. But it's true. Uh, Using the technology, it's not just using the technology; it's knowing when to use it and when
Yeah,
not to use it.
right.
Um, for instance, yeah, you can see the shot traces from the golfer if the camera's shooting from behind. You can see the trace. The thing you miss is you see this. You know, before we had that, there'd be a cut shot to a tight shot of the face, and seeing the eyes go up and down, right? And seeing and
Mm-hmm.
looking at it, you can see the emotion. You kind of miss that now. Um, so knowing when to use it, knowing when not to use it, knowing how to use it, knowing when to call it because there's a delay in the audio. Lots of places have GPI triggers set up for the fader handles. When you go to something for audio, it'll automatically put the delay in. Sometimes it doesn't. Um, yeah, it's knowing when to use it and when not to use it is the key. Um, I'm old school, meaning I'm old. Um, I fear that sometimes it looks too much like a video game.
Yes,
However,
I so agree with you.
how, however,
Yeah,
to get the younger audience to view it,
yeah.
that's what they're used to
Mm-hmm.
seeing on their computers, their tablets, whatever they're playing with. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. I don't know
Yeah,
of when to use it and when not to use it, and don't overuse it, and how to use it and how to call
yeah,
it, and making sure everybody's on the same page
yeah.
when you do it.
Sometimes I feel like I'm watching a graphic show instead of a sports game or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's all graphic, and you're like, okay, where's the game at? I could care less about all these graphics coming up. I just want to see the game. So you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I know. It's not exactly what you mean. So we'll have like graphics in it. We're doing golf. I'll have graphics in the lower right, the upper left, the lower left or something. And sometimes try to
Yeah,
put stuff in the upper right as
it's
well.
too
And
much.
it's like, oh, I'm like, oh, there's a game going on here somewhere.
And
But
and
the
then
most
the poor
important,
cameraman is just there like trying to frame for all this stuff that you have in the frame, and you got it drives me insane. I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, Mike. So when I contacted you, one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on as well was because you were one of the people that were able to advance your career many times throughout your whole career. So that's what these next set of questions are going to be like. Or we're going to focus in on those. So what would you say if you've gone from camera op to TD to director? What were the key things you did at each level to prepare you for the next step?
so this is another old school thing. Dress for the position you want, not the position
Mm.
that you have. Dress for the job you want, not the job that you have. So I
Hmm.
always tried to dress nice. I always tried to dress nicely. Um, you have to do things that are going to stand out to people. Watch, learn, pay attention to what you're doing, and if you're a camera operator and you're a new camera operator, even if you're an old camera operator, mark your viewfinder up, get it looking right before you go on the air. Um, Work on it. Practice, 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 practice. That's for sure. Just practice. And when you're a camera operator and you want to become an A1, maybe you're like, I don't really know if I want to do the camera operator stuff. Set your camera up, fax it out, make sure it works, run into audio, talk to the A1, kind of like I did with Paul Spitzer and the TD,
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking about doing. I don't know, I'm just trying to make myself more valuable. Explain your situation. Ask kindly. Don't say this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'd like to do. Because nobody can predict the future,
Yeah.
right? Just do the best you can do, but always also when you're doing that, be available in case they need you to run back to the floor or to the studio or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're doing to operate your camera. So just if you want to move up, ask the person who's doing the position. And you can ask them what the pros and cons of your position are, and has it gotten harder? Has it gotten easier? Or what do you think? Or, am I barking up the wrong tree? Am I correct in thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Most people, all people, definitely not all people, most people will be more than happy to help.
And that is true. Especially if they know your personality, you're a good person, the way you act, or you do a good job, things like that. People will go above and beyond to teach you what they know, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing was when you talk to somebody, you say please and you say thank you,
Mm-hmm.
and you do it with a smile on your face, and you mean it because that's how people remember you. They'll be like, "Oh, wow, Mike, he's such a nice guy." I'm not a nice guy all the time, but I try to be. Um, but
Yeah.
if people like you, that's a huge stepping stone. If people don't like you, like I don't want to be around that person. I'm not. I can't do this. But if they
Right.
like you, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially, they don't want to see people taking shortcuts either. They want you to see you doing your
No,
best, no matter what position you're doing. If they see that you're always a slacker or things like that, they're not going to want to help you either.
that's 100%, 110% sure. Yeah, yeah. It's like, and here's the other thing. So it's like if somebody says if you're working in a studio,
Yeah.
you have a 10-minute break. You have a tech 10. Don't be back in 11 minutes. Don't be back in 12 minutes. Don't be back in 10 minutes. Be back in 8 minutes.
Right.
Or yeah, if somebody asks you to do something, do it. And
Yeah.
if you say you're going to do something, you do it. And if you can't do it, you go to them and explain why you can't do it or why it didn't happen. But yeah, if somebody says be back at a certain time, be back at least at that certain time, if not sooner.
Good advice. What do you do on your off time to grow in the industry?
So watch TV if you want to be working. If you want to do sports, watch. If you want to do whatever sport, watch TV. Watch the sport. Watch the framing. Look at all the graphics. See everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to advance yourself in audio, listen on the TV, listen on a soundbar, listen in surround sound, see how it all sounds totally different. Talk to an A1. How does this work? Why does it sound like this? Ask people questions. Go into video. Talk to video. Talk to people. Understand how the camera works, how neutral density works, how shutter works, how everything works in your camera. It'll help you in the long run. Just um, so if you're on set, talk to people in a position that you want to go to, or talk to multiple positions if you don't know where you want to go to, or if you're happy doing what you're doing, utility, be the best utility you can. There's super utilities, which is fantastic. A lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm just a utility. Oh, I'm just doing that." I'm like, never say just. I'm
Mm-hmm.
utility on this. I'm TDing this. I'm doing this on the show, and don't say just. Don't put yourself down. It's never just. But talk to people, watch TV. If you're working on a convention and you're being a utility, watch the screens. If you're a camera working on conventions and you want a TD or direct, watch the screens, watch your returns, pay attention, watch as much as whatever you can as possible of what's really going on in the industry right now. So you have an idea of what to expect when you get there and what it's supposed to look like or what it's supposed to sound like or what it's supposed to feel like or how to create emotion and how to create movement in the cameras when things are boring and you start zooming the cameras and different things and when to shoot tight and when to shoot loose and want to add the extra juice to the microphone on a crowd reaction or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to do. Just talk to people in the department you want to go to, watch it and listen and pay attention. And when you get done talking to somebody, you say, "Thank you for talking to me. I really appreciate your time," but you have to mean it.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a long way.
Good stuff, Mike. What do you think separates people who stay stuck in their role from those who keep rising?
Attitude, 100%, 100% attitude. I say this all the time. Give me somebody with 90% attitude, 10% skill. We'll turn that into 100% skill, 100% attitude. Yeah. You give me somebody with a great attitude,
Yeah,
willing to help, willing to learn, willing to do whatever it takes. Yeah, you know what? That's the person that you want to grow with them. You want to help them along your journey. I mean, I'll help anybody who
exactly.
asks me. You can ask me anything,
Exactly.
but you give me somebody with a great attitude. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Mike. What are some things people should consider when deciding to take their next step? Whether it's going freelance or changing markets or stepping into a leadership role, what would you say to that?
So when I went freelance, worked in New York City, worked my way up, camera LD. I got to be pretty well respected and liked. We moved to Orlando because of Hollywood East was happening, but I took a job at Channel 6 there. It was
Yeah.
WCPX at the time. I'm not sure what the call numbers are now. They had a production department, as you know, Dondi. And I worked there for a while, and then they had a production arm, and all we did was production, which was fantastic. Uh, they sold the station to somebody who just wanted to do news. I'm like, I don't want to do news. All this stuff is really taking off at Universal and Disney. I've worked the opening of Universal for through the production arm of Channel 6, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. This is what I want to do. Um, so we've had lots of leaps of faith, my wife and I, in our relationship. I'm going to bring her in for a moment. Um, so I went freelance. Our son started preschool, and my wife Valerie started nursing school all the same week in September of 1991.
Wow.
That's like,
That's,
wow. It was looking back
yeah,
on it
that's
now.
a
That's
whole
probably
life
nothing.
change and a lot of changes
That's a whole.
there.
Yeah, that's a lot of change there. That's for sure. But yeah, so making that move is like, this is something I got to do. I just seen the movie Field of Dreams,
Yeah.
and with the saying, "If you build it, they will come." I'm like, I'm going to build this. They will come, meaning my business and the clients. Um, so that's what spurred me onto it. You have to do, if you make a pros and cons list. That's just anybody make a pros and cons list. Pros and cons list for anything that you do. Uh, so you can be like, oh, I can set my own schedule. Well, you really can't set your own schedule, not at first. Um, health insurance is a big thing. You have to figure out what you can afford to do and what you can't afford to do, both physically and mentally, because it can be a
Yeah.
very stressful time. My job, when I first went freelance, I had no work. My job was to get work. I would spend 8 hours a day in my office slash bedroom, cold calling convention companies, sporting companies, production companies. We got an electric typewriter, made up a form letter, mailed those out. Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
because you just it would automatically print and you just fill in a couple different things. Um, so if you have a staff job, you think about freelancing, make your freelance job when you first go freelance your job to get work
Right.
and just you keep on grinding. If you want to move up to a leadership position, just know what that entails. I had to fire one person once in my life when I did a little crewing, and I had to let somebody go. It was the worst. It was the worst feeling I ever had. But the person took it beautifully and wanted to know what they could do better, and they wanted to come back and the next day anyway and see how the job was supposed to be done. I'm like, oh my god, that's the attitude person that
That's
I
a
hired
good
to begin
attitude,
with.
man. Not many people would do that.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
only person. Yeah. So when you take
Wow.
that leadership role, there's make a pros and cons list. What do you want to do? Do you want to be that person who has to fire people? Do you want to be that person who has to hire people? Do you want to be that
Yeah.
person who needs to answer people? I mean, you kind of have when you freelance, you kind of have that leadership position anyway because you are the leader. You have to make the decisions for yourself, which also affect your family. So, yeah, but if you want a bigger role than being over yourself, as you did, Donnie, which is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's definitely a big step, and look how it's worked for you. And it's worked for you because your attitude is fantastic. Your passion is unbelievable. You're great at what you do. Everybody likes you. I think it's like a constant theme of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, people remember you. Dondi's an unusual name, right?
That's true.
So they
That's very
oh,
true. Yeah. Yeah.
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, and one of the other things that I think that we didn't touch upon, like how to set yourself to stand out from people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dondi, perfect, great name, right? There's only one Dondi that we know of.
Right.
For me, it's like my puns.
That is
It's
true.
my it's like my bad jokes. Oh, Lacey, the guy with the bad jokes, we hate him, which means we love him. Oh, he's nice. He says please and thank you, and he'll do whatever you ask him to do, and he's always here to
Right.
help.
Is it better to specialize early on or be more of a generalist when you're starting in your career?
I think a generalist, for sure. Where do you start? Because although you may think, I really want to be a cameraman, I really want to be a videographer, I really want to be a lighting designer, I really want to do this, and this is all I want to do. So you might spend years of your career, and then after a while, you're like, you know what? I really don't want to. This isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think if you generalize and learn everything, as we were talking about earlier, it'll help you communicate with everybody in each department. You can see the interactions of how each department works with each other.
Yeah.
You can see what each department does, and then you can say like, you know what, I really do want to be an LD. That is too cool.
Right.
Oh, I really do want to do video. I do want to direct. I do want to whatever you want to do. But yeah, start out in a general type kind of sense. Like when I started at National Video Center, like you could do whatever you want. And I did everything. I was
Yeah.
like, after a while, I was like, yep, production is for me.
All right. When someone is trying to level up, how important is network compared to just being great at your job?
It's all about networking. Being great at your job is a bonus. Um, I will say this, and I say this all the time. You can do a good job and they'll call you back, but they have to like you, right? You can do a mediocre job, they'll call you back because they like you. You can do a poor
Yeah.
job, but like if you hang out with them and go out with them in the evening, they're gonna call you back like, "Oh my god, it's so much fun after the show. Oh, let's bring them on, right?" So you can do a good job and they don't like you,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason, and it happens, you're not gonna get work.
Yeah.
So networking, it's all about networking. I've called schmoozing. I'm a terrible schmoozer.
Mm-hmm.
Always have been. Probably always will be. I'm there to do my job. I'm there to be. I'm friendly. I'll be your friend, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to go hang out with you at night. I'm not going to stay up late. I'm not going to do all these things. You want to have dinner? Yeah, we can have dinner. We can do whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, networking is all about it, and the networking also is, the people that you're working on a particular gig. Say you are a utility on a job, and you talk to another utility, and the person who's doing utility loves being a utility, and they're a super utility, and that's their career and that's their passion. That's great. And you happen to mention, yeah, yeah, it's I really like to do camera. I started doing a little bit of camera work. Well, that person might be on another job and be like, oh, somebody called in sick. It's like, oh, let's call Mike. He might be available today. I was talking to him. He's such a nice guy. He told me he's working on it. So it's not
Yeah.
just about the people who are in the same
Circle.
exact thing that you're doing. Circle, exactly.
Yeah.
It's outside the circle. It's people
Yeah.
that you maybe see once and they
Yeah.
can help you. But it's all about networking.
So I always ask everybody about AI because AI is I mean, just in the past 2 years, it has blown up, and it's only in the infancy, right? So I want to get your input on some AI stuff. Do you see AI or automation playing a role in the future of live directing, especially in sports?
1,000% yes. Reason being, only went to NAB once. It was 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and they're already talking at that time of, if you have a basketball game or a football game or whatever, instead of having all the cameras up there, you put one 24K camera there, and
Yeah.
then you use the RFID chips that everybody has, and then you can pick and choose, and you can have as many ISOs or as many different shots as you want. So maybe you ring the arena with 4, 5, 6, 8 24K cameras, and you can choose your angle, and you can pick out and choose whatever angle you want, which is amazing. So I feel that's going to happen. I don't know if they can take that away from the handheld. So I think the handheld is safe. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And another thing, when I was at NAB, they were already talking. This is 2019. They were talking about how they already have, the machine learning, the AI is already cutting like third level Scottish soccer games over there,
Yeah.
and broadcasting, machine learning. And so they asked, anybody have any questions? I said, yeah, I have a question. Like, what? I said, how is it going to capture the passion? Like, what do you mean? I was like, when, say, there's a great assist in a basketball game,
Mm-hmm.
and we take the camera, and then the cameraman, through instinct, through knowledge, through experience, sees the bench in the background exploding and widens out or pushes to them or does these little things. I was like, how are you going to capture that? Or say, if you're doing soccer and there's a
Mm-hmm.
great goal, instead of maybe going to the goalie, you see the crowd going wild, or you see something else happening on the field. How are you going to capture that passion? There was really no answer for that.
Yeah.
So that
The
will
human.
probably come in time. I mean, that's six
Yeah.
years ago now, so maybe the machine learning is taking over. But yeah,
The human aspect of
it's
it.
crazy.
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be ready for surprises.
Mm.
Be ready for surprises.
Roll with the
Yeah, not
punches.
everything goes the way you think it does.
Never does. Hey, look at us today. You already know everything that we dealt with, even just today, right? You just got to go with it.
I know. I know.
So, Mike, thank you so much for the time, man. It was a pleasure talking to you. It was good catching up, man. It's been a long time since me and you actually sat down.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. My pleasure, Dondi. I'm so glad we got to do this.
For those watching or listening, I hope you picked up some real gems. From the power of persistence to the importance of being ready for that next opportunity. Mike's story reminds us that growth doesn't happen overnight, but with commitment, curiosity, and great relationships, you could really build something lasting. If you're trying to become a live director or getting into sports broadcasting, take notes from this episode, put them into action. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with someone who's grinding right now, because you never know. They just might be tomorrow's director. Thanks for tuning in to Media Hub, and we'll see you on the next one.